How are you?
I'm good, man. Yeah, dude. Just just got out of class today. Just a little tired. Just trying to hang in their college life, I guess, right?
College life. Hold on. Yo, I just realized something. I got to make sure I plug my phone into the outlet.
Go for it, yeah, man.
I'll be right back. Live.
All right.
Sorry.
It's all good. So, for people who don't know who Davey is, otherwise known as Bunny Boy, he had an album released back in 2019 as well as 2017, 2016. You can guys follow him on Spotify, Apple Music, and I can correct me. You can also go ahead and follow him on YouTube if you want to. I think he has a YouTube account. He also has an Instagram.
Kinda.
McBunny Boy, right?
Yeah, Mick Bunny Boy. It's actually supposed to be MC Bunny Boy, but a lot of people see it as Mick Bunny Boy. It doesn't matter literally at all. But I just thought it was funny because I've always just thought, like this was years ago, I always thought of it as MC Bunny Boy. But then one person was like, it's Mick Bunny Boy. And I was like, oh, I never really thought of it that way. But it's kind of like a McDonald's sandwich, you know?
There you go. So when are they gonna put your sandwich in the menu, man?
Dude, I don't know. They had like what's the girl Sweetie menu? So is that
Yeah, so mixed with sweetie or something like that.
yeah, and she had her own her own McDonald's meals. And I'm just waiting for the call, you know. Just I'm
Well, you know
waiting.
what? Hopefully McDonald's is listening. If McDonald's are listening, get this man a deal over there so we can have the McBunny sandwich, right? Or what would you call it? What would you think your name of the sandwich would be if you can come up with that?
Well, you know, I, I like to keep it simple. So just the McBunny Boy sandwich, and they don't use real rabbit meat. It's just gonna be a regular cow for it's just I don't know.
Well, you know what?
It's
Or maybe it could be vegan. Like that Impossible Whopper they have over there at
no,
Burger King. You're like, no, it has to be meat. It has to be meat.
no, no. Actually, no. I support that. Actually, I definitely want them to make it a fake. I want them to try to make it taste like rabbit, but I want it to be vegan.
There you go, right?
That would be the ideal.
There you go, man. Well, yeah. So I'm telling you, actually speaking of McDonald's and everything, real quick. I know we're kind of on that huge subject. Do you believe in that like secret meal? They have like that secret menu. Like I think it was like this one called a T-Rex burger or something like that.
Oh well, I don't know anything about McDonald's and their secret menu. However, I do know from being on tour with Boy Scout that In-N-Out Burger has like secret menu items. You can order something. I forget what it is. So I'm just gonna say you can order something sloth style. It's definitely not sloth, but that's a good animal. So we'll just say go to In-N-Out Burger and order like a hamburger sloth style. And that's like I forget what it really is, but then you get like something cool. What is it, like animal style?
Yeah, animal
So
style fries. I think something like that they
so
have.
yeah, maybe McDonald's has it secret, but I feel like McDonald's is too big a chain for that. No, but I don't know. Maybe that's a good question. I don't have the answer.
There you go. Well, hopefully, like I said, hopefully McDonald's comes out and reaches out to you. We can hopefully make something work out, right? If not, you can have your own secret menu at McDonald's. Only your fans would know what to order there. There you go.
Uh, okay, so that's where we're getting at. So then you can order the McBunny Boy, and you get a vegan sandwich that almost tastes like rabbit, but not quite. Even though you want to pretend it tastes like I've had the Impossible Burger, and it tastes so close to a regular hamburger, but not quite. It's like almost there,
It's so
but
close yet
not
so far.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. Like I don't know. It's like if this is the whole thing, it's right here. I don't know, but and that's what I want this burger to be, but with rabbits. I don't think anyone eats rabbit burgers, so that's good.
No, that is good. Yeah. Speaking, I know we're really off topic, but have you tried any alligator? Have you tried alligator before?
I never tried alligator. No.
I heard it tastes like chicken. I haven't eaten alligator. I mean, I've been in a. I know when I went to Louisiana a couple times, they've offered alligator burgers there, or something like that.
In
I just don't
Louisiana.
want to touch that.
Now, is this? Are you going to like a like? Is it? It's not a McDonald's you're going to in
No, I'm going
Louisiana.
to
And
like
you're like,
a
"Hey,
like it
would
was
you
like a
like the
casino.
alligator or would you like the regular burger? And you're like, yeah, I'll take the alligator, the McAlligator. You know,
The
I
Mickey, do you want to look the alligator's thick, like thigh there on the burger? You know, what do you want,
don't know.
man? Well, like I said, Davey, thanks for joining us here at Top Radio, especially here on the All Access Garage. We're very happy to have you here as a guest. So it means a lot to all of us here at St. Edward's University to have you.
Well, hey, I thank you for having me. This doesn't happen to me much, where someone, you know, asks me questions and I have to, give them an answer that is. Uh, I don't get interviewed much, is what I'm saying. so it's nice to be here. It's nice to know that people actually are listening to something that I'm saying. I don't think I have anything great to say, but we'll see what happens.
All
Maybe
right,
I'll hit
man.
the zinger and it'll change everyone's lives.
There
I
you
hope
go.
so.
Hey, you don't know about that, but hopefully we can get to the bottom of something here, right?
Hopefully.
Well, yeah. So let's get to it, man. How did it start for you? What made you decide let's start this project moving on forward?
Bunny Boy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like I was in my early 20s. This was 40 years ago. No, I probably started it like maybe 8 years ago, like 20, I was 22 or 23 or something. And I just I don't know. I always wrote songs in various projects. When I was like, you know, before that, I don't know. I wrote kind of lame songs, and then I was like, I need to do something new. I have some ideas, some new like concepts that I want to mess around with. So I wanted to start something new, and so I started Bunny Boy as that kind of the new thing that I wanted to do. I was in my early 20s, which is kind of late for uh, well, not really. Well, it's kind of late to get into like the indie DIY music scene a little bit, but you can kind of do it whenever. But in terms of a lot of people get into it younger, but I just started doing it and writing like new songs, and that's when it started. About 7 or 8 years ago, and I've just been doing it ever since.
No, yeah. I mean, like I said, I think the earliest album you released was what I think in 2016. 2016 is I think you made Shelly, if I'm correct.
Oh, is that Shelly? So my first thing I released was, so if Shelly was 2016, I feel like I released something in 2014, like Dirt Nap, I think was my first release. And that was like just like 4 songs. And then I did like a split with my friend Pat Malone, who ended up running for like Senate, not Senate, something like, and I should know because he's my good friend. He went to college. He was like 21. He went to college. He got out of college. He went to UMass Amherst. Very smart man and person. And he ran for something like city council or something. He was 21, like 21 or 22, and he ran for. So like the first person I put an EP out with, that was, so if 20, it must have been like 2014. And then that person ended up running for like, in some kind of political campaign. And so yeah, Shelly was 2016. That was yeah, so I've been doing it for a little while.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting because I think you've come a long way. Especially the first album I personally listened to was "Did the Angels Come to Kiss You," which
Yeah,
we'll talk about a little bit later on today. But yeah, that
yeah,
was
that's a
such an
lot.
interesting album, and it was a wild one to go through. Literally, it's one of those albums I can literally just have in the background, just doing something, and it's just so calming. I think you do such a great job, at least what I believe, in just making it feel so alive in that album. I think it's different from a lot of albums I've listened to, but I think that's what makes it very unique about it. So,
Thank
like I
you.
said, we'll go ahead and get a little bit back into that. But as far as you and your band, was there any kind of anyone who inspired you, possibly that might have gotten you into the music scene?
Oh yeah, the music scene. Well, it's sort of like, so for Bunny Boy, I think when Bunny Boy started, like there was one year where I listened to nothing but Sparkle Horse. I don't know if you know Sparkle Horse. He's my favorite songwriter, and that inspired Bunny Boy. I don't know, like if you look at the first releases, Dirt Nap and stuff, very Sparkle Horse inspired, and you'll hear it in my voice. Just how much I love Sparkle Horse. There was literally a year I only listened to Sparkle Horse. There's he was just the most perfect songwriter for me. He has a way of, if you know anything, Sparkle Horse, he's kind of like this weird, people call him kind of like, like surreal country music. Like it's country in a way that you wouldn't expect, but like very surreal, and he kind of has this really high pitched voice, kind of like Neil Young when he sings high, but a little more, like a little more softer though. But that is what, like, he changed the way I looked at songwriting, and how you can write a song, and how you can, his lyrics were just so like bizarre, surreal, but beautiful at the same time. So that is what was going through my mind when I started Bunny Boy, is I wanted to do something similar to that. And over the years, I tried to kind of steer away from those influences because I know they'll always be present. But that was like the main thing. And so when I started playing, doing Bunny Boy stuff, I was in I mostly started in this town called Nashua, New Hampshire, um, which is about a 30-minute drive from me. I live in Methuen, Massachusetts, but Nashua, New Hampshire is about 30 minutes away from me. And there was just this small folk scene of this group of people. Jed Crook, if you can type in Jed Crook on Spotify, he was one of the main like people in the scene who like was just, telling people to just write songs, and just to do whatever. And it was just this small folk scene in New Hampshire that really got me into the music scene. And I think Jed Crook is probably the most important person that probably never gets mentioned like anywhere. But he was just he still is, he's a great songwriter, and he's always just like keeping so that's probably how I got into the music scene. um and then so I was kind of playing around New Hampshire a lot, and then I started playing in Boston. You know Boston, right?
Oh yeah.
That's a city in Massachusetts. That's the big one. And I just kind of started playing around there, you know, and that's it.
Yeah, man. I mean, it sounds like you have a very interesting, backstory kind of to what Bunny Boy is now, and I think that's just such an interesting thing because a lot of bands have different stories, but each one is very, it's very circumstantial to themselves, and I think that's what makes it very interesting, especially to hear that because again, we have other people coming from different backgrounds, and such as you, and it's just like how such something so I get not one is necessarily small, but something can trigger something into extremely big, such as now
Yeah.
Bunny Boy. So I think that's something we can, we appreciate that now we have the existence of Bunny Boy. Now we have this beautiful music to go ahead and listen to, right?
Yeah.
So, like we, so why the name Bunny Boy? Is there a sort kind of a story behind that?
Oh man, there's probably like two stories behind that I'll give you. Like, I mean, the idea of naming something after, like, bunnies, rabbits, that is from stems all the way back from childhood. I've always my favorite book is this book called Watership Down. It's written by Richard Adams. um that's like one of my favorite books. It's about a bunch of rabbits who like one of them has like is psychic and can see that something bad's going to happen. So it's about a group of rabbits that want to relocate somewhere else, so they travel to build a new home. And it's about rabbits, and I've always just been fascinated, like some of my my favorite books growing up were like Goodnight Moon, The Velveteen Rabbit. I've always associated rabbits with this weird part of childhood, this kind of this innocence, but like I don't know, like Velveteen Rabbit is a book about a person who has a doll rabbit, and in the rabbit, it's kind of from the rabbit's point of view. The rabbit wants to be a real rabbit. And then there's like Goodnight Moon. I just feel like rabbits are very associated with childhood, and a lot of my music, a theme is kind of that idea of growing up, but like wanting to hold on to your childhood, which I think is just something. It's something that I feel like a lot of people just go through, especially us millennials. We're obsessed with our fucking childhoods.
No, and it's true because I mean, again, listening to your music, especially the recent album you had just made, which was "Did Angels Come to Kiss You?" It's very like atmospheric. I feel if it feels like one thing, it feels like you mentioned very childhood like. But with like I don't know, I feel when I think of it, when I listen to it, I feel like a cold house in a winter storm. If that kind of makes sense. And it's such a like a good thing to listen to. And again, for people who are listening, I highly advise you go ahead and listen to this album because there's a lot of good songs in it. I think this is like an hour and a half or so of content here.
So it was supposed to be a double album is what happened. I was gonna like release it. This label kind of wanted to put it out on CD, so we were gonna split it into two parts. So it's a long album, but it was kind of meant to be listened to until like one half and then the other half. But yeah.
Oh yeah, and I mean again, it was just looking at all like the songs here right now. There's just a whole list, which again I've personally listened to each every one about like what 4 to 5 times, honestly.
Yeah.
Like from the start to finish, especially while I'm doing my work here. So it's really good. Like I said, if you ever need some music to go ahead and study to or just listen to casually, I'm telling you, this is where you want to go for sure. But Davey, if it, what kind of hobbies do you like to do outside of music? Or maybe your hobby is just music, but is there something you like to do, like attend events, sports, anything you like to do on the side?
Yeah. Well, hey, I love jump roping. I actually jump rope a lot. So I started jump roping like at the beginning of the whole lockdown stuff, and what was that, 2020?
Yeah.
So I started kind of jump roping. So I do a lot of jump roping, exercising. And I watch just a crap load of TV, and I read a lot of books. So yeah, those are kind of the main things. Pretty much jump roping, TV, books, and then I've been kind of trying to like write fiction and stuff on the side. So that's like mainly what I do. That's pretty much exactly what I do. And then I work with people with developmental disabilities. So that's my whole entire life, pretty much. Music. Yeah, I mean, actually music has kind of been secondary to a lot of that lately, but yeah, so those are my hobbies.
Right
Jump
on.
rope,
And
the sport.
did you bring a jump rope with you on tour when you were with Boy Scott with another
we
Michael and I believe a Remo Drive?
Yes, we did. I did a lot of jump roping on tour, except for the middle where I got sick, which is probably where I met you. Yeah, because I think I got sick. We toured. We started in like Massachusetts, then Ohio, and then we toured like kind of middle America. Did I meet you in Austin, or did
Yeah,
I
it was
meet you?
Austin.
It was Austin. Okay. For some reason, I thought I met you in Oklahoma. But there was like 7 days where, you know, all of us got sick on tour, and we didn't have COVID. No, we had like some kind of weird, you know, some weird tour cold shit. Every single one of us got it. It sucked. And and yeah, but before that and after that, I did a lot of jump roping on tour. And during that time, I did absolutely nothing, and I was miserable.
No, yeah, man.
Tour is rough.
So yeah, man. I mean, again, I didn't. I mean, if you guys were sick, especially Scott and Emma who were singing, and I didn't. By no means did I feel like any of you guys were sick. You guys played just as great as I would normally hear, on the studio's, sound. So
Yeah,
it
we're
was really
very
good.
professional, like we're professionals. It's what we do.
Dude, well, hey man, all praise to you, dude. But right now, let's just say music wasn't a thing for you, right?
Yeah.
Where would you be at right now in life? What do you think you would be doing?
Oh yeah, that was. Let's see. I don't have a great answer for that, but I'll be so to be honest, like, well, it's like it's not like, like I wish I had just kind of gone this like normal route of you know graduating from high school, then going to college to get some kind of like degree, and like, something that benefits the world in a more normal way, like becoming a nurse or a doctor or an engineer. That would probably, I got into music. I've always just been into music and like trying to express myself. And but I wish I I wish I just became a doctor. That would have been good, because I would have made a lot of money and I could have done whatever. No, well, well, I don't know what doctors. I'm sure it's very stressful to be a doctor, especially right now. I would hate to be a doctor.
Yeah.
So, and I guarantee you, I wouldn't be a doctor. However, if you're a person and doctors on like the list of things that you would want to do, I feel like that's the thing I would say. Go do it. Like become a doctor. Don't be a musician. Be a doctor. But if you feel compelled to be a musician and that's what you do, that's, you can deal with that. It's not fun. Like, I don't know. I've been like, I don't like, I have a good job, and I try to do that, but I'm just like obsessed with making doing anything creative, making music, doing whatever. But like, I don't know, it's like you should, if you can do something else, or do music. And a lot of people are very happy doing music, and I would ask them about music because they're happy doing it, if they're successful. Good for them. That's the way to do it. I would just shoot for success.
Wherever, like, wherever whatever your heart desires, kind of what you're trying to say.
Yeah,
Whatever's gonna put you forward in life, if you would, right?
if you feel compelled to do something, you should do that.
There you
That's what
go.
I would recommend. um just whatever you're compelled to do, and hopefully it just works really well.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't, then that sucks. you know
Well, I mean, like I said, I mean, I think you're doing a great job.
Thank you.
Whether it be either your own project. Ooh, did he? Oops. We're gonna take a quick little break right now. I think Davey accidentally just logged off right now. Give us a quick second, y'all.
Dad, I'm probably sideways right now.
No, you're good, man. You're good.
Dude, it's mad
Yeah.
funny. It's like I before we started, I was like, look, I gotta plug in my phone so it doesn't die. Sure enough, when I plugged the phone in, I unplugged the thing I plugged the phone in to. Like,
No, yeah, dude. It's all good, man. No worries. So, actually, just to shout out some people here because they actually enjoyed your music. We have some person here. I'm the Hilltop, the Topper Radio. We got Audrey going ahead and already saying she's already putting a couple songs of yours into her playlist, man. So there you go. See, everyone's beginning to love you, man. You're just an instant
Yeah,
classic here on the Hilltop for sure.
I think I'm selling myself real well. And I just put on my bathrobe. So I know you started off the show with like the weather, and so it's so this is the story. It's great. It's been like very cold here in New England for like the past month, like really cold, 20s. It got down below 10 for a little while. But for some reason today it's like been in the 50s or maybe like high 40s. And I left my heater on like really hot. So when I got home today, which was like 10 minutes before we started, it was like wicked hot in here. So I was just like,
It was a Texas heat wave, man.
I know, like, yeah.
I guess I have to
Uh,
ask, really, yeah, how was the temperature, going from, I think from the East Coast to the West Coast? Did you notice any different changes when you were touring?
oh yeah, so like yeah, so I play bass in Boy Scout, and so we went on a tour for a month, and we started in like Massachusetts, or we started in like New England. We played in Massachusetts, and when was that? That was like November, or was it October? It was
Yeah, no, I think
October.
you started in October. Yeah.
October. So it was just starting to get cold in Massachusetts. It was pretty much cold just the entire time, until we got down to Texas, and then we are like, "Thank God it's not cold anymore," because it extra stinks because we were being very very careful about COVID and stuff. We weren't like eating indoors at all. So like if we were like out and about, we were getting food, we were eating in the car or outside. um I don't know, it's not fun eating outside in the cold. That's that's for sure, because you're like, your nose is stuffy and you're just like eating a hot dog. I
Was there
actually
like
don't
any?
think I ate one hot dog on tour, but
What was like the food you guys got most of the time? What was something
oh
y'all stopped
god,
by real quick?
dude, there was like so many good spots. Like usually, like if we were playing in like a decent city, like well, I mean, everywhere there was like a small portion of time where the food, but like mostly like so like say we were in like Oklahoma City, and we got like this food. We got like these hot dogs that what's that food critic, the big guy, and he passed away. Um, he had like tried their hot dogs and they were amazing. So we always, so Scott specifically always wants to get like good food, like
Yeah.
let's make sure that we have a good meal, all the like the definition of good, like something like that's will fill you up but is also like not bad, not too bad for you, like pretty good food and tastes good, and more or less we got that. But then every now and then we would have to just eat crap, like get some food at a gas station or just a crappy place.
The gas
Usually we
station
got
of
good
burritos,
food.
right, man?
Yeah, that will do it. And that will do it for you in the bathroom too. If you need something to go right through you, that's if you yeah, if
Either
you're
that or
clogged up.
Taco Bell, right?
That Taco Bell. We got Taco Bell once on tour. Uh
Which order do you remember?
yes. Scott just texted me. Anthony Bourdain.
Yeah,
Scott.
no, I was actually going to tell you Scott is listening right now. I think he maybe is Emma as well, but I know Scott's listening alongside it. He was really hyped to hear this little show we got going on.
Yeah. Anthony Bourdain is the guy. You're killing.
Like I first thought you were talking about Guy Fieri, but I mean like the dude wasn't dead, so I was like, no, it can't be Guy Fieri at all.
You know what? It's funny because if I think if you had to put me and Scott together, I think Scott would be Anthony Bourdain, and I'd probably be Guy Fieri. If you had to put our food taste neck and neck.
Dude, man, well,
I just love a good burger. That's all I want. A good burger with bacon on it. And that's just, if I have that, I'm usually happy. That's the only, I could eat that for the rest of my life. I'd be pretty happy, and give me a few pancakes,
You like anything on your pancakes? Do you like any perhaps tuna in your pancakes? Maybe some cereal? I don't know. Some
Do you say tuna?
Yeah. I'm just making this. No, we'll put tuna in their pancake, man. Whereas I think some results came out by by Barstool Sports, and they mentioned how people like corn on their pizza or literal tuna on their pizza. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I think the idea of pineapple on pizza was just nuts until literally people are just like, no, it's corn on pizza, and it's just like nuts. Like, how can people just, especially tuna, like tuna, I just make it in a little sandwich, pack it to go, and that's it. But
I like a tuna sandwich, but I hate tuna. Well, because I hate tuna. Like anytime, the only person who likes tuna. Well, here's the thing. So tuna, the only person, if you're eating a tuna sandwich, you're the only person that is happy, and and everybody else is miserable because tuna just smells so bad to every single person except for the person who is eating that tuna.
I remember my good buddy. We were in theater all the time, and it was back in high school. We go ahead and the food there in my high school was just terrible. It was just like bottom of the barrel food, and I was like, I had the idea of like, what? How about we just get like a little lunch bag, put some like ham sandwiches and all that stuff. So one day I'm like, well, I ran out of ham. There's only tuna in the fridge. So me being the Albert Einstein I am, I got a regular piece of white bread, put it inside, put tuna on it, and then put another piece of white bread, and I put it inside my bag. I go and I leave, and as soon as it's lunchtime, this was about like 3-4 hours later after I packed it. Literally, the tuna's like going through the bread. It's all soggy and everything. And I was I looked at it and I was like, wow. And yeah, I mean, obviously I refrigerated it, but when I took it out, I'll admit, I don't know if it was a tuna going bad or something like that, but it was just like terrible. Like, it was just a terrible taste and the smell. So I was just like, I soiled the tuna sandwich, man.
Well, I hope somewhere right now in this world, there's just like a tuna sandwich like rotting in the corner of a room, and that someone finds it soon.
So whoever's listening, maybe so there's some tuna, there's a random can of tuna spoiling in the corner of your room. Hey,
I hope whoever's listening goes and gets like a can of tuna, just puts it in between two pieces of bread, and just leaves it somewhere.
Just like the can of tuna itself, not even open, just the can of tuna with two pieces of bread and the top of it and the bottom of it.
Yeah, open it first though, so the tuna rots. Just to, you want to smell it.
There you go. All the flavor and taste just going through my mouth and my nose, man. So, and I guess before we head back,
I can't stop thinking. Emma just texted me like 4 minutes ago, and she just typed in penis. She just texted me the word penis, and I'm just thinking about that right now. So I'm thinking about the fact that Emma texted me the word penis, and I'm just thinking about like an empty or like a rotting can of tuna, and I'm just thinking of those two things. Those are the two things that are in my head right now.
So, just in case people don't really know, maybe you just don't know it. Davey here is actually the bassist for Boy Scott as well. So, the people who he's referring to back here, Emma and Scott, we actually interviewed them last week, and they were Boy Scott. So, shout out to Emma and Scott. If you're listening here, shout out to you guys. It was awesome to see. It's a full circle here. We have Davey here in his own little project. So, like I said, dude. It's a full circle. Dave, you want to say anything to them right now, live here at the radio in Austin?
I just want to say that that's probably the funniest transition So that's the best way to just transition into recommending, just checking out Boy Scott. Emma and Scott. Hi, Emma and Scott. Nice to be texted by I'm just drinking my
Well,
Mountain Dew.
there you go. Is it what type of Mountain Dew? Is it just regular Mountain Dew?
Diet Mountain Dew.
Do you
Yeah,
like
trying
diet?
to,
Do you like diet drinks?
yeah. I think Diet Coca-Cola maybe not is not a superior taste to regular Coca-Cola, but I like it better. I like
Is
it because I
do you think
remember.
it's much more healthier for you having diet compared to regular? I mean,
No, it's not healthier for you. But it's just not. It's like drinking chemicals that aren't gonna make you gain weight is pretty much what
there you
diet
go.
is. It's like, but you're still destroying your body. You're probably giving yourself maybe a few years less to live unless you move to
Yeah.
Florida. Then you'll have 10 years on top of whatever less years you got from drinking all the diet soda and the cigarettes that you smoked. So no, diet soda is not healthier for you per se. Uh,
What's the best diet soda for you?
well, I think Diet Coke is the best diet tasting drink you can get.
The worst
Uh,
one, perhaps?
what's that?
The worst diet soda, probably? What do you think it might be?
Oh, the worst diet soda for you? The worst thing you could probably do, and it's not like technically called diet, but the worst thing you could probably do is drink that stuff Bang, or
Oh,
just
yeah, yeah, yeah.
all those just crazy like no calorie energy drinks, which I drink a lot of those too before I exercise because they have just like a crap load of caffeine
Before you
and
start
stuff.
doing the jump ropes, you just drink down like two of them, two cans?
Yeah, no, not two. That'd be a lot. Actually,
What?
there's actually, once you go down to into what those are called like pre-work, Bang's kind of like a pre-workout. And there are some like Bang, I think has 200 milligrams of caffeine. And then there are others with like 400 milligrams of caffeine. So, and I've actually been drinking some with like 400 milligrams of caffeine. So I guess technically it's like drinking two Bangs. But yes, that's probably worse for you than a Diet Coke because no one knows. Bang has this thing called super creatine in it, and I have no clue what their super creatine is, but I doubt it's
It's
good for you.
creatine times creatine equals super creatine.
Yeah, that's probably what it is, or like creatine with like the blood of a monkey or something. I don't know.
Hopefully it's not the blood of a bunny. That would be very, very detrimental.
Yeah, that'd be messed up.
But
I would not
I
support
was
that.
no. But we got Scott coming in with a random question. He wants me to ask you about your sports podcast. If you can talk about that.
Well, Scott and Emma both love this podcast. So me and my best friend Mark, I've known Mark since I was an infant, and he's known me since he was 2 years old, or 1 years old, because we're almost exactly a year apart. We started a podcast. We made 3 episodes. We never ended up making more episodes, but the whole idea of the podcast was I know nothing about sports. Mark knows a little bit about sports, and Mark's just a good. He's he's quick on his feet when he's talking. He's a good presenter. And we started a podcast that's all about sports. Just everything, basketball, baseball, football, soccer, or as they call it in the UK, football. A lot of people don't know that in America.
Dude, yeah, no, it's always it's called
Polo.
American football, right?
Yeah, American
Dude,
football, which is
yeah,
the best emo band of all time. Tim
yeah.
Kinsella, no, Mike Kinsella, not Tim Kinsella, Mike Kinsella. Forget who else is in it. American football. Um, let's see. There's polo. There is Sports. There's golf.
Yep.
Let's see. It-
What about
there's
hockey? There's probably hockey in there.
there's hockey. There's hockey. Yeah. And then there's this really great game called Slam Ball. And Slam Ball is basketball, but with trampolines built into the court. And you can jump and you can, get a slam dunk way easier. And so we used to have a Twitter account. I lost all my passwords to my 20 Twitter accounts. But I used to have a sports Twitter account. And one thing I would do constantly is there's this magazine called Slam Magazine. It's a basketball magazine. But I would tweet at them and I would pretend that I thought this basketball magazine, Slam Magazine, I pretend I thought that it was a slam ball magazine. So I tweet at them. I'd be like, hey, yo, just wanted to say, like, I love that you represent slam ball. Slam ball is the greatest sport of all time. And, I just can't get enough of slam ball. And sure enough, it's just a basketball magazine that's called Slam Magazine. So they never tweeted back at me though. But one cool thing that did happen is, so there's this team in Boston. It's a basketball team. You know basketball? Yep. So there's this basketball team in Boston. It's called a lot of people call it the Celtics, right?
Yeah.
Celtics basketball team. They're what do you call it? The person is like a leprechaun. What do you call it?
You're talking about the mascot?
The mascot.
Oh, there it is.
I have the worst time thinking of words, so you got me. Mascot. Their mascot is this like leprechaun that's like ready to fight. And but so I would always tweet at the Celtics Twitter. I'd be like, hey, is it pronounced Celtics or Celtics? Because it really should be pronounced Celtic. And they call themselves the Celtics. It's like a whole bunch of stupid Italians moved into I'm Italian. Moved into Boston. They're like, we're gonna call this team the Celtics. We're gonna call the Celtics. We're gonna call them the Celtics. Anyways, I'd always tweet at them, is it pronounced Celtics or Celtics? Mascot. Scott's got me too. Mascot.
Their mascot. There it is, dude.
Mass Boy Scott. And so I tweeted at them, and they once tweeted back at me. They said it's pronounced Celtics with an S. But I'm calling bullshit,
There you go. So so you have like personal beef with the Boston Celtics?
Yeah, I do have beef with them. And there's nothing I can do though, like you've got millions of people sold on something, what's this world
it's devastating, man.
So pretty much that's my sports podcast. It only has 3 episodes, and it's pretty much me just pretending like I know anything about sports, LeBron and Kobe and
LeBron
Michael
James?
Jordan. What's that?
LeBron James, right?
Yeah, he was the one in Space Jam, right?
Yeah, I know it's James, but I put Jams. That's just the thing. My friends and I have
Jams.
LeBron James.
LeBron Space Jams. Space Jam.
Why haven't you got an offer to go play some Space Jam,
Yeah.
They should have offered you a little spot there in the movie.
That would have been sick. But we got a good Michael Jordan cameo. I was gonna say, like, the new Space Jam movies, like, it's not that great, but I have to say it's one of my favorite Don Cheadle performances.
Oh,
he's just so creepy in that movie. He's
he killed it himself. I just don't think LeBron James did a good job at all with his acting. Felt really dry.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude. Shall we get this? I mean, we kind of took like a huge U-turn right here. Going with this. But
that happened with me.
I just I guess now kind of focusing on you more so, right?
Yeah.
Especially tours you've been on, or just stuff project, the things you worked with your project on Bunny Boy. How has the live music scenes put everything into perspective for you? When you started performing, was there like a sense of, we should do something different? How should we do this? Kind of that going for you.
Yeah. Well, I started. I mean, it's weird, like because the music scene is the music scene is different wherever you go. Like in Austin, Texas, y'all do your own thing, and everyone's kind of like out in their own places doing their own things, making like new types of music, and then but like now it kind of gets everywhere. So everyone's kind of, I don't know. It's just it's a cool thing, but I Bunny Boy, I mostly just did acoustic for a while. I had a band a little bit and would kind of play around with a band, but I always like, for me it was like I would just mostly when I toured especially did acoustic. So I would like kind of, and that's, I mean, touring when you're an acoustic act, it's like kind of easier, but like it's kind of hard to book shows. um well, it's weird, it's interesting because there's a lot of bands tour, and it's easier to sell yourself as a band. Like you're like, hey, I'm a band coming through, we need a tour date. We're in like getting a bunch of other bands. Like ideally when you're touring you want to play a show with other bands, unless, and if you're acoustic, it's cool to get like some like low key acoustic shows.
Yeah.
But a lot of times, the stuff that's going to get more people to come is being in a band, or like bands. So you kind of have to, see if you can find ways to, like see if they will put together a band show for your little acoustic act, which is, it's fair. Some like, it's like, like it's it's a weird, like you're asking for a lot when you're just one person playing an acoustic guitar.
Yeah.
And I would just say, like, if you're a solo performer, do your best to just make your solo act as cool as it can be. And I always tried to make my solo performances, like I always, the way I write my songs, and the way I write my guitar parts, I always wanted to make sure that it's something that's like interesting for someone, so that like if you are playing with a bunch of bands, people will still stop what they're doing and listen to you, even though you're just one person with an acoustic guitar. And if you can do that, if you can like somehow demand the attention from a bunch of people, I think that's good. And that's kind of, if that's what you want to do, if you want to get their attention, you should work at that. um and hopefully it's a respectable scene. It's weird, you never know if you're going to go to a place and there's going to be a bunch of kids like talking over you and stuff. And if that happens, it's like a bummer and it stinks and you're like not happy. But like, like it's to some extent like yeah, be respectful to the places, but at the same time, like you want to make sure you you're it's one of
You
those
want to
things.
respect the
It's just
performer.
like
You just don't want to be an asshole just talking over them while they're giving their time to do something for you
yeah.
guys,
And yeah, and sometimes you'll like play shows where it's just like, like sometimes you end up at shows where it's like a party atmosphere. Sometimes you're playing shows like, and when you're an acoustic performer, sometimes you're just in a living room and everyone's just like sitting on a couch and playing. Uh, and so like you just kind of do your best with what you can work with. And it's just like different when you're playing acoustic than when you're with a band. It's hard. Sometimes it's harder when you're a band, because then like, because if you're an acoustic person, you can get a show in a living room and like it's doable. If you're a band, not so much. So like it's harder, like you have a little more to work with when you're an acoustic performer. But yeah, I don't know, it's interesting, it's weird. You just got to figure out how to work around anything if you're doing anything, like.
And the music you make, especially again, like because I generally listen on Spotify, so the stuff that you go ahead and you post there, that's all produced by you and made by you, correct?
Yeah, I think on Did the Angels Come to Kiss You, I had a band, and we like recorded 6 songs for that album, and then like the rest of the stuff was pretty much entirely made by me. um so that's why there's a lot, like there's some songs that like just sound like they have like crazy guitar stuff and stuff, and then there's other songs it's just me and a guitar. um so so like so I had a band, but that album was more or less produced by me. um yeah.
There you go. Well, you know, you've toured a lot, especially regardless if it's either Bunny Boy or Boy Scott. But is anything on the tours you performed at? Is there anything memorable about it? Perhaps a funny moment that you'd like to share with us?
Oh shoot, I should have tried to think about something. uh
I noticed last week Scott mentioned that you took a like what is it called? You guys tried cramming into like a motel, and the ladies started getting really upset at you guys or something like that. So you took the blow for that one.
oh man, so yeah, like so Boy Scout, so we were, dude, like that tour was crazy. That was in March. Scott just texted me something, a picture of something, I don't know what it was. So uh I hope yeah, I don't know what it was. But so like pretty much that tour, almost every single night, it was 5 of us. 5 of us. I think it was 5 of us. And we had to get we were staying in hotels because we were trying to avoid staying with people, just because like you never know, just because of the times, COVID and stuff, like you just never know. So we just tried to do as many hotels as possible. And so almost every night was in a hotel. And one night, they would call ahead and lie and say there were like 2 people staying in the hotels, where it was really 5 of us, and we're just like kind of make like a bunch of clowns and just all go in that one hotel room. And in one night, like Emma went to sign in, and she said it was just 2 people. I think that was what happened. She signed in and said it was just 2 people. But sure enough, like they must have realized something sketchy was going on. They start looking out the window, and there's 5 of us, just in a big van. And they were just like watching us, like, and Emma was just like, I just told them there were only 2 people. And 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 that was obviously a lie, and now they just totally saw it through our lie. And now they're just watching us. And then sure enough, I just like decide, and they're stressed, Emma. So when we were touring with Scott and Emma, Scott like kind of like put together all the shows, or Scott does the Boy Scott stuff, he does the band stuff, and he like orchestrates those songs, and he does like all that work. But and then Emma, she like books all the hotels and stuff, like she's on it, like she's the one doing all that work. And that gets like, so that's a lot, for 30 days, and you never know what's going to happen. And so there was just this one night, and so I just figured I just like, she went and signed us in, but these people were obviously like mad at us about something. So I was like, I'm ready to just go and just take the hit for that one, because like Scott and Emma had just been like, doing all that stuff. They were tired, and I think Emma was really, really sick at that point too. Like
Yeah.
me and Emma both got sick, but Emma really got the brunt of it. And so I just kind of like went in, and this guy was just like, she said there was only 2 people in there, but there's obviously 5 people in there. And and I was like, yeah, I know. I'm sorry about that. He's like, that's really messed up that you did that. You should be very ashamed of yourself, type of stuff. Like, this guy was just like, he wanted to make sure that like I knew that that was very messed up. That guy was just, he wanted to make sure that he knew in the heart, in my heart, that like I knew that that was wrong and that it was bad. So he gave it to me, and then we went and we paid like an extra $30 for the extra
Yeah.
the extra 3 people. And
Man, cool.
that was that. I don't know, like when I've done like a few Bunny Boy tours, like I like would just like, it would just be me and my guitar, and I like there was one tour I got my buddy to come along with me, and we just drove. It was like a 40-day tour with like 20 something dates. You know, like a bunch of, I was like, I had it in my head that I could definitely book 40 days of touring with my little acoustic project that no one heard of. uh and I managed to get like maybe 20, like 4 dates in like, but then there were just like a whole bunch of off days. But you know, and it would just be me and my friend, and we would just like kind of, you know, we'd play a show, and if no one could let us stay in their house, we would just find like, you know, an off-road and just sleep in the back of my minivan. And so I've done that before. And there have been tours, like there's one tour I like I had actually, so the tour I met Boy Scott on, I met them a few years before this tour, but then like when I really like met them and hung out with them was on this one tour I booked. It was supposed to be with this band, Bill Drat from Connecticut, but we ended up dropping, like they ended up dropping out of the tour. It was like a month-long tour. And so, and and we had like half of the tour booked. But then when they had to drop out, I a few of the shows fell through. So I was on tour. I was with my 2 friends, and my 2 friends that were just tagging along with, they decided to leave like within a week of the tour. So it was just going to be me alone. And I ended up jumping on a few like last minute stuff, like Boy Scott, like I pretty much like threw out like, hey, I had a bunch of shows fall through, can anyone hook me up? And Scott just like hit me up. He like added Bunny Boy onto like maybe 4 or 5 shows. And these were like packed shows. These were shows that like maybe already had 5 bands playing. Ideally, you want 3 bands playing on a show.
Yeah.
The most, and then like 4 band is like a normal thing. You know, you got the opener, 2 bands in the middle, and then, you know, the closer. And then every now and then there's a 5 band show, and that's like not ideal. And then so like they had 5 band 5 band shows, and then they're like, oh, and my friend Bunny Boy is just gonna jump on. He can just play, you know, like just throw him at the beginning, you know. And I somehow managed to get on these shows with Boy Scott. And then we just like hung out. We really like hit it off. We only had met like once before, where I like hooked them up, or like set them up with a show. Wouldn't say hooked them up, because it wasn't really that great a show. Set them up with a show in New Hampshire. But and then we just like hit it off on this tour. I mean, we the thing about Scott is like he always just, you know, finds just a good group of people who get along and enjoy each other's company. Like and so like I end up like jumping on a few shows with Boy Scott, and then my friends left in the middle of the tour, and I ended up with like a bunch of days in the middle of this tour where I was just like by myself driving through. I was driving through Texas by myself. I was driving through Texas in this middle of this crazy thunderstorm, and
Oh man.
like, yeah, it was insane. like, because like a thunderstorm in like New England is like, I don't know, like, well, okay, so like I'm just driving in New England. You're never driving and you can just see like the open land. That's
Mm.
something you only get like in the South or like the middle America. But like in New England, it's never like that. And so I'm just like driving through Texas and this kind of like alien like territory that like I'm just like not used to. And there's just like crazy thunder storm going on. And
Yeah.
that was crazy. And
You
then
know,
I had a show.
Texas weather's really crazy. I know that I think I mentioned to you I think early before we started was it literally got down to like 20 degrees I think last Friday, and then not
Yeah.
even joking about Sunday it was already in the 70s like nothing ever happened. And I would
Yeah.
think that maybe like where you're from, it's kind of like it'll progressively get hotter or
Yeah.
progressively gets colder. But
Usually.
here, it's like you can like here in Austin. I know that the other day it was like in the 30s, and then it rose all the way up to the 70s by the
Wow.
afternoon. So it's
That's
crazy. Weather is crazy here, man. So I'm happy you're okay and everything. Hopefully, it didn't traumatize you just going through that for a while.
Yeah, no, I mean, I kind of, I enjoyed it actually. Like, if I was really nervous, I used to get like crazy panic attacks, like in my mid 20s. I used to get these insane panic attacks. Like, there was this one year, I like was just getting panic attacks for no reason whatsoever. And so I'd be driving in my car and I would just have like a panic attack. Like, and so I don't know, have you ever had a panic attack before?
I think I've had one maybe like once.
Okay, so
Fortunately,
like
yeah.
pretty much this is what like at least to me this is what a panic attack is. You're like you're at this point where your mind tells you that there is nothing good that can happen. Like you're just like, so like I used to get panic attacks. There was this one summer I would be in the heat and my heart would start racing and I would think I was going to die. For some reason I'm like, I'm gonna die today. This is, and then I would like try to figure out like, like there is, when you're in this mentality of you're gonna die, and then you can't see a foreseeable outcome. You're just like, there is no outcome out of this moment. I am gonna die. So that's what a panic attack was. And there is this one summer where I got nothing but panic attacks. Almost every single day I would have 3 or 4 panic attacks while driving. I almost like had to just like stop driving. I had to move back with my parents during that time because I was just like, every single thing I thought, I was just like, I'm gonna die.
Yeah.
and it was crazy. So like so when I was planning, that was like a year before I planned a tour to travel the whole country, and I was just hoping to have a few friends. My panic attack stopped all of a sudden for no reason. I don't know what happened, but they just went away. There was like a few months where they just were ongoing, nonstop. I thought I was just like everything was done. And then things got back to normal, but I was still nervous that they were gonna come back.
Yeah.
And so that tour where I was driving through Texas in the middle of a thunderstorm, it was like that first tour back after like dealing with all these panic attacks and stuff. And strangely enough, it didn't get to me, and nothing really got to me ever since then. Like I haven't really had many panic attacks since then. Kind of went away. Um, so I'm just driving through Texas, and I was just nervous I was gonna get a panic attack, but I never did. And then I found this podcast about dinosaurs that I really enjoyed listening to. So I was just like listening to dinosaur podcasts, driving through Texas, just hoping I didn't get a panic attack, and I didn't. And yeah, ended up being a good time. And now I feel like I could just drive anywhere by myself for whatever period of time. Like on the Boy Scout tour, I did a lot of the driving just because like I just like when I'm driving, I'm just in the zone, and
You're in the auto zone, man.
I'm in the auto zone. Yeah.
But so I guess kind of on those on that, did you learn anything from the Dinosaur podcast? Anything you want to
No,
share with us?
everything I learned on the Dinosaur podcast kind of just left my head. Dinosaurs are they're very interesting, but it's very confusing, and I don't think I learned anything.
I think it's crazy how these giant creatures were before us and the world we're living in right now. It's crazy to think
Yeah,
about
it's
that.
insane. Oh man.
Just imagine if there's dinosaurs now, just going around, just go outside, you see just a random dinosaur just chilling out there. You know what I mean? It'd be interesting, you know. So,
Yeah, I don't know what would happen if that were the case.
you think you would have a pet dinosaur?
Um, that's you know, I would hope that like maybe just like dinosaurs and humans could just like hang out and be friends.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't because like that was like billions of years ago. It's hard to say what dinosaurs would have become had whatever made them extinct, and there's like so many like theories on why they became extinct. um Obviously there's the meteor theory, um but or meteor or like
Yeah,
a
the
big,
giant like an asteroid or something. Just
yeah.
yeah.
But who knows what kind of evolution. I mean, there's that Super Mario Brothers movie
Yeah.
uh that came out in like the early 90s that kind of touched on what it would be like, and there's this whole like world underneath, like in the sewers of New York, um where dinosaurs have continued to evolve, and then there's just this underground world where dinosaurs exist. And I highly recommend that Mario movie. It gets bad rep, but it's a good movie.
What
And
would you
that's
rate it?
probably the best, the best you get in terms of dinosaurs evolving alongside humans. And then there's Jurassic Park, which is like they figured out how to bring back dinosaurs. But in terms of dinosaurs evolving next to humans, Mario Brothers is probably the best you're gonna get in terms of what that would look like.
Maybe
Yeah,
there is a secret society of dinosaurs under this in the sewers in New York, and we don't know that.
I would hope so. Yeah.
There you
I
go.
hope.
Well, so I guess kind of going back to your personal music with Bunny Boy. How does a song come to existence for you?
Yeah,
What goes through your mind and says, you know what, let's go, this sounds like a great idea, and let's attack it.
yeah. I mean, the way I write a song is pretty. I don't know. It's definitely like a process. Like so like and so you listen to Did the Angels Come to Kiss You
Yeah.
a few times, and so like that album itself, like the songwriting process was very weird because I started it as just like I wanted to make an EP that was kind of inspired by like Angel stuff. I don't know, like I don't know. I was obsessed with angels. I was like reading a lot of books about like these people that believe they can communicate with angels. Um and so I was trying to kind of just like make something like that about angels. And I just started getting more obsessed with this like weird kind of like weird fantastical stuff. So I started. So what I would do and how I tried to approach writing that album is I really like the idea of very very graphic like language. Like I wanted you to feel very literal. I wanted like literal, like there's a lot of stuff about like fairies, angels, monsters in that album, and I very much wanted to make them feel like literal as
Yeah.
opposed to being figurative monsters. So I was listening to like a lot of Cradle of Filth, who who kind of just write like these weird like horror fantasy metal albums. And so I was like reading a lot of their lyrics, trying to figure out how they would kind of make realistic kind of gothic creepy imagery while like not making it sound like dumb.
Yeah, I understand what you mean though, for sure.
I don't know, like I just I wanted to make something that like just took you to this other like weird place of, you know, fairies and angels and stuff. So I just, so pretty much I would like kind of write I'll probably write a melody. I'll play my guitar or play my keyboard and write a melody. And then I would, you know, kind of make up lyrics on the spot. And usually what I do when I write a song is I'll make a voice memo, and then I'll listen to the song and I'll try to like figure out what the lyrics are saying, and I'd write it down literal, and it'd be something stupid because I'll be freestyling. I'll be like, oh, I didn't get to work today or something. I don't know.
Yeah, and you're very open about it. Yeah, you're very open about it. I think on Instagram, you're always posting videos and everything on your stories and whatnot. You just coming up with ideas. And each time I listen to them, I'm just like, wow, is this perhaps the new song for the new album? Perhaps it's just I'm a conspiracy theorist, in your page, and I'm like, come on, if he's doing this, he must be coming out with something, right? But
Yeah,
I
there's
guess
no,
much
there's
more.
no grand plan, but
But if I can ask a personal question here, how did you come up with? I think my favorite song on your album, a gackle of goats. I'm not even joking.
yeah.
So let me tell you how when the first time I heard it, I had your song playing. Like I mentioned, I always have it just playing in the background when I'm working, doing some stuff. And then out of a sudden, I hear just like, just like goats gaggling, and I'm just like, I took off my headphones and I'm looking behind me, and I'm like, what? And you just hear this like soft melody. It was just so good, but then you just like the goats gaggling, and I'm
The
like,
goats are just screaming and screaming and screaming.
so
Yeah.
my question to you is, how did you come up with the gaggling of goats?
Yeah, I don't know. Like I was watching a documentary, and there was just this one part where there were just these goats screaming in the documentary, and I was just like, man, that would just sound really good in the middle of an album, with really like kind of like, I don't know, like I just knew I wanted to put music to it. Like I just knew I wanted to hear goats screaming and music somehow, and I wanted it to be like kind of beautiful, but fucked up too at the same
Yeah.
time. Like so and so I just like, and I actually hit up these kids I know who made like a short film, and in the short film they had filmed a goat being born. And so the sounds from a gackle of goats is actually a goat being birthed to life. What's a baby goat called? I think a kid. I don't know.
Is it or no,
But
not a cub, right? Well, that's a good thing. Well,
but anyways, it's just the sound of a goat giving birth. Is it a
it's a
kid?
kid. Yeah, a kid.
Yeah, a goat giving birth to a kid just screaming, and they sent me the audio to it, and then I just kind of freestyled a keyboard part to it. And it's kind of interesting because I recorded it live, and I recorded it with a tape player. So I just had like the goat screaming, and then I had a tape player and I recorded it live. But then I knew I wanted to kind of bring out the keyboards a little bit more. So what you're hearing on the album is like the live keyboard and the goats. And then I actually replayed what I recorded live. I had to figure out how to play it because I kind of freestyled it, but I figured out how to play it and then re-recorded it on top of that. and that's how the song came to be. And the gackle thing is just kind of this word I made up. I think there's like people have made up that word before, but uh it's kind of tied into this like kind of mythology that I built into my music of like kind of made up words. There's like gackle, there's drizzles. And so what
Yeah.
gackle is supposed to be, there's a slimy flower called drizzles, and those release this kind of gross vomit like fluid, which is supposed to be gackle. And so that's what the word gackle is kind of supposed to mean. And these flowers are supposed to be magical. Um, and so they're kind of tied up with these goats somehow. So somehow these goats got entrapped into this magical vomit like fluid,
Yeah.
and that's kind of what the song's about.
Yeah, and it's good because I mean, now that there's a backstory to it, a little bit more for me, it's a beautiful thing because not only are you literally hearing a kid, I have to say kid, right, poor baby goat, right, being
Yeah.
born, but it's just like the piano or just it's just like a very like gentle, you know,
Yeah.
you can it's
Yeah.
very gentle, and I loved it because it's like you hear the gaggling, of course, right, or there's that little. The what would you call it? Them like scream? What do they call like screaming or like a buying?
Oh, yeah, there's a word for that, like a ba or
Yeah,
I forget. Yeah,
yeah, no,
but
but you know you hear that and it's just like you're like nah. It's just a very and it fits the theme so well to the album that I think it's just such a beautiful thing. And again,
it's mad funny, like is that there's actually like there's two like whenever like especially like so like when Scott wants to like send people Bunny Boy music, and like he there's he'll send people the mainstream, but like my joke is always like, oh, I send them gackle of goats, or I
yeah, that's what happened. I went ahead. I remember telling my roommate. He goes and I told him like, hey, I'll just. I think it was like it was a little bit before I saw you live in concert with Boy Scott. I had listened to your album and then I showed my roommate. I was like, this guy. I was like, he's on to something. And my roommate was like, what are you talking about? So we're there in the living room cooking dinner, and we're on his Spotify, and I put the Gackle of Goats, and he looks at me and he's just like, "What are you playing, man?" And I'm just like, "Dude, just listen to it. Trust me." And
yeah.
now again, it's he's literally on his music list now. We sometimes just
Oh
literally
man.
as we're just driving, we have it playing, and it's like to us now, it's just extremely normal. You're just like gaggling. They're just driving down the expressway here in Austin. So it's interesting, and I guess talking a little bit more about your albums. How did that album cover come to play? You know,
Oh
who
man,
is that?
that's this girl from the UK, Robin Violet. And I don't know, like me, so like when I first started like, doing Bunny Boy stuff, I was like had like it's kind of funny because I don't know if you know the artist Nicole Dollanganger.
I don't know.
Oh, she's awesome. She's one of my favorite songwriters as well. And she kind of her thing is she kind of makes these soft lullaby sounding songs. But her lyrics are like pretty like disturbing and grotesque, but also cute at the same time. And she has a song called Bunny Boy. That is just happens like that was just a coincidence, but I'm also just like a huge fan of her. um what was so me and this girl Robin, who did the art on the album, I think we both kind of were just in this like kind of world of Nicole Dollanganger fans, which is a very specific thing. A Nicole Dollanganger fan is like into like dolls, porcelain dolls and stuff, and kind of like the soft blues and pinks, of
Yeah,
like the kind of the baby blues and pinks, and just kind of like these kind of childlike imagery, but like mixed with like kind of really grotesque creepy stuff as well. And so I just kind of really enjoyed her art, that she just kind of posted. She did drawing, like she did illustrations, but she also did photography, and I just really liked her work. So she did the single for Your Blue Sky. She did the illustration for that, and then I asked her if I could use a picture, one of her pictures, for the album. And she's kind of funny. She kind of like, she's one of those like artists that like, like is very hard to get in touch with. She'll be like, you'll be able to get in touch with her for like a few weeks, and then she'll just like go away for like a year and you won't
Oh
hear from
man.
her. And then like and like, so like she agreed to like let me use her photography for the album. And then like I just didn't hear from her for a year, and then like randomly she shows back up on Instagram and she's like, oh, I had a whole bunch of stuff going on and yada yada yada. But she's just like, I've always just like loved her art. And so, and I always, I just like saw the art and I knew I wanted to make music that vibed with that art. Like her art, that album cover definitely influenced where that album went. Like
Yeah.
it was very important to the sound of the album. So I just wanted to do that album cover justice. Sometimes people like will kind of have album covers like that, but they'll just like kind of make like normal music that doesn't really do anything. And I just like knew I wanted to make something that was almost just as like off-putting and creepy as that, as that photograph with her and the doll. So I just wanted to, that's kind of how that came about. And I just always had that in my mind, even when it was an EP. I just wanted to make like a 5-song EP about angels with that album cover. And then it ended up being like a 22-song or 21-song album.
An hour and 37 minutes, I think, worth of music.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that was an accident. There was actually 2 songs too that I had recorded. I never finished them, but they were also supposed to be on the album, which would have pushed it a little longer. And I was like, how do I clean the meat off of this bone? And
Yeah.
I didn't do
Well,
a great job of doing that,
you came out with a good piece, man. I think I think out
yeah,
of itself, like not even joking, I feel like that in and out of itself is art,
yeah,
literally, and it's really beautiful to listen to. Because again, if people like, I'm not to be egotistical or kind of like blow my own horn, but it's just much more that like people like me, I feel like that's something that I appreciate a lot because it's something that's like you listen to over and over and over again, and you can
yeah.
appreciate just how it's not just music; it's more than music, and I think that's something
Mhm.
you're good at making, especially for
Thank
this.
you. It's like, yeah, it's I always try to just make sure that whatever I make, it's something that like is truly like, I don't really care what people want to hear or anything. I just want to make sure that whatever I make is like cool to me
Yeah,
and does what I need it to do. I don't know, like I'm not the most well-spoken person, but like I just know what I want to hear and I know what I want lyrics to say, and I'll just work my hardest to just make sure I do that to the best of my ability. I don't think like when I listen to that album, I don't hear exactly what I wanted to make. There's stuff about that album that is far, far, far from perfect. Even like the opening song, like I think about like mixing it to just make it closer to what I wanted it to sound like. But like at the same time, I knew that I made it, and I knew that it was just like different from what most people would just like hear. I just
yeah.
wanted to make something that was like kind of just weird and brought you somewhere different than like other music brings you. That's I just want to
And
take you somewhere new.
and it's interesting because, like I said, I mean, a lot of people when I say just your album, they've never heard anything like it. Especially when I first heard of who Bunny Boy was, I was literally like, "This isn't the music I'm used to.
Yeah,
It's different." But I think now, in retrospect, and I've mentioned it, and I'll say it again. It's in and out of itself a form of art that's just its own thing. So that's
thank
something
you.
I can appreciate, and also thank you for bringing that now, because now I have something to literally listen to almost all the time
Yeah.
with that. But as of right now, though, I know these kids. I mean, not these kids. These all these songs are your kids, right? But you can
Yeah.
only pick 3 songs to listen to you for the rest of your life, as the ones you've done right now.
Yeah.
What would you have picked?
Oh, shoot. So like of the ones that I've released, well, here's I
Or
know one of
they could be ones that perhaps maybe you're making right now. If you want to share that with people.
I can share you a little of that, but I mean I know like so like one like Shelly is one of the songs that I just personally am proud about just for the weirdness of it. That song's like it's like through the eyes of a father singing about his daughter who passed away. And I don't know, like I just for some reason, I mean, and like I don't know how I wrote that like chord progression and melody, but I think I was listening to a little bit of Alex G at the time. Uh, but I don't know. I'm proud of that song, Shelly. I like Dirt Nap. I think Dirt Nap's just one of my greatest songs that I've written. And um, yeah, in a gackle of goats, that's always a good one. I always
There we
I
go.
don't meet a lot of people that actually like that song, so I'll just say like I really appreciate that you appreciate that song. Actually, my I think one of my favorites from that album is towards the end, IRC of the Dead.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
uh,
yeah.
yeah, that one's it's kind of like I actually reused the chord progression in Gackle of Goats through like the first half of that song. It's kind of a reprise, if you will. And
Yeah.
and that song is just like that was like ever since I heard the Beatles Revolution number 9. I always I remember that was, I know everyone is kind of cliche to have like a Beatles awakening, but like one time I was taking a nap. I was like in like maybe a senior in high school, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna listen to the Beatles. And Revolution 9 came on while I was like in the middle of a nap, and it like tripped me out. And I was like, I want to make something weird like that really took you into like some kind of weird zone.
Yeah.
And so I always just kind of saw IRC of the Dead as like sort of just my little way of doing that kind of thing. uh so Shelly, Dirt Nap, and IRC of the Dead would be like the three. I would those are my three babies
Right on, man.
that I
Well,
would keep, and then I'll throw the rest of the 40 other babies. They can just figure everything else for themselves.
they can have the corner of the room.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But as of right now, do you have any current projects you're working on? Something you can probably tease us on a bit.
Yeah, I mean yeah, so uh I have like two albums in the works that I like have started, and I one of them I started many years ago, and it's like it is the definitive Bunny Boy album. It's going to be called In Search of the Bunny Tree, and it is just going to have I just I've kept some of my best songs that I've ever written for this album. So I've just been kind of like slowly putting it off. I have
Yeah.
a bunch of demos recorded for it. I have a music video that's filmed for it. I just gotta like actually get down to recording the actual songs, and I'm gonna re-record a few. Like I think Dirt Nap's gonna be re-recorded for it, The Gray. And then I just have a few songs, like even though I have an album called The Bunny Tree, which is just a compilation of my earlier stuff,
Yeah.
I there's not actually a song called The Bunny Tree on it. and I wrote a song called The Bunny Tree that I'm pretty proud of. I've got a lullaby song I wrote for it. And so I'm just trying to, I got to work on that. And then I have like this weird electronic album that I started during quarantine.
Oh wow,
Uh,
right on.
yeah, it's like, I mean, it's not like, it's just like a weird, I mean, it's just like an album I just kind of started making on Logic, just using like Logic, like synths and stuff.
Yeah.
And I saw, it's just kind of like this weird, like goofy electronic minor hyper pop type stuff. Like, I don't know, it's weird. I don't know if I'll finish it or not. My computer broke, and I don't know I don't know how much of the stuff I put on a hard drive, and I don't, so I got to get a new computer, see how
Oh
much
man.
stuff I have saved, and if not, I gotta do some what do you call it, some computer. I have to like, I might have to pay a lot of money to get like those files saved or
Yeah.
something. I don't know, but so I have those are like kind of like the two things. I actually made like an EP at the beginning of quarantine that I'm not really happy with, so I never ended up putting it out. Um, but maybe I'll put that out. It has a few just like random songs. Um, and if not, maybe I'll re-record some of it. I recorded it. I wasn't happy with the sound, but they're sitting there, and like I'd like to make them better, but I don't feel like putting in the effort. And I have like two albums, like kind of I'm working on. I have this EP that's finished, but I might release. And then I have a few ideas for other albums. I'm always just like thinking, like, wouldn't it be cool to like make a song about a robot baby or something? And then I
Hey,
don't know, a
that worked by
Bigfoot.
me, man.
Yeah. Um, but so I'm always just like, or like, I just want like, I don't know. I always just like am getting new ideas for like weird things to make songs of. I always just like making songs about weird things, but like still trying to make them like relatable as a human.
Yeah.
But so they're fun but relatable and weird and just something you wouldn't hear. But yeah, so I got some stuff in the works. I hope I finish something soon. I'd like to finish something soon. I'd like to put out a single or something.
And can
In
we
the
give like a
past,
time frame maybe? Maybe within this coming year, some give or take.
yeah, if I can get a computer within the next like few weeks, I'd like to put out a song. I've got like so that like kind of more electronic project I've been working on.
Yeah.
I've I've got like stuff like close to finished where I could, almost release them as a single. So I would like to say that like in the next 4 months, which is if any musician tells you something's gonna be out in 4 months and they're not done it yet, they're lying. So don't listen to me. But I'd like to have it out within 4 months. Just one song.
Fingers
And
crossed though, right? Fingers crossed
yeah,
on that.
you know what? I've been like in the last few months for some reason, like my Spotify plays have like quadrupled, which
Yeah.
put me from like 50 monthly listeners to like 1,000. Uh so so it would be good to get something out soon while that while the momentum's going,
There you go, man. There you go. Well, right now, just kind of, in retrospect with everything in your career right now, from Boy Scout to Bunny Boy to your personal life, is there something you would tell your younger self? Is something, that would, you would give any advice perhaps?
Yeah, well, I mean, like, I think I touched on this before, where, like, if you can become a doctor. And maybe, I would go up to my 5-year-old self, and I'd be like, look, just do anything else, but music. Um, but I can't.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I'd probably tell myself to become a doctor. Nah, not a doctor. I don't know. I
It's
don't know.
interesting.
Yeah.
But Davian, thanks for joining us here today here at Topper Radio. We are, like I said, here on behalf of the All Access Garage, myself, and here at the university. We thank you for just
I
coming here and just chilling out with us. Is there anything you want to plug in? You want to say anything? You want to give a plug out? You want to go and give some advice to people?
um just I mean, honestly, just try to be like as nice and good a person as you could be. We are, this country is in like some crazy ass shit right now, and so just remember that everyone is struggling very hard, and so just be nice to most people, unless they're very bad people. Even be nice to them though, just be nice to people. Just try to do your best to be an okay person, and don't do bad things.
Yep. Well, like I said, thank you for just stopping by. You can, if you're interested in listening to more of Davey's projects, you can follow them. I believe you have an Apple Music account as well, right? Or what do you have? What are your streaming platforms for you?
Yeah, well, Bandcamp, I mean, every single thing. I don't think it's good to be plugging Spotify right now, but
Yeah.
that's usually what people go to. But yeah, I'm on every single thing. I mean, you can find, I highly recommend going on TikTok and using my music. I think it's on TikTok, so do that. So then
There you
maybe
go.
maybe it will blow up, and then I don't have to work.
Then
That'd
we
be
and then
great.
we can have the Gackle of Goats too. There it is,
Yeah,
man.
you know what? You should start a Gackle of Goats like hashtag or something, or like yeah, like maybe we can get like a Gackle of Goats TikTok trend going on. I don't know. That would be like, that'd be my dream
All you do is
in the
gackle, and it's
world.
all I just do that. The best gackle you can have, man.
Yeah. No, yeah. Just do it, yeah.
There you go. But like I said, you can go and follow him anywhere on streaming platforms. You can also follow him here on Instagram at MC or Mick Bunny Boy, whatever you like to say it, right?
Yeah.
You
Whatever
have a
floats
Twitter,
your boat.
Facebook, anything perhaps?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. Like, yeah, I think it's just MC Bunny Boy on Facebook, and yeah, so I have a Facebook. It's just funny because no one uses Facebook much anymore, but it's still there.
Except our parents,
You
right?
know,
Maybe I know my mom and
yeah, our
dad use it all
parents
the
do.
time. But yeah, guys, thanks for coming by again, David. Thank you for joining us next week here on the All Access Garage. We have the interview at 9 in the morning with Birthmarks, and then later on around 5 p.m. with Crash Kelly's, I believe the Austin's radio host, Crash Kelly. Saturday we have Brutus 8 coming in at 3 p.m. And I think that's it. We have a couple, maybe on March 4th, we actually have This Cold Night coming in. So we have a huge lineup. So thank you for joining us, and we will see you later. Thanks, Davey, once more. I appreciate you.
My pleasure.
All right.
I